Please describe the context you have chosen for your work and say how and why this context is appropriate to your project. The context of my work is to do with memory, time, numbers and objects. One half of my work I'm going to be looking into how we use memory and time to record our lives, and I'm going to make a project to do with my nanny and use all the objects in her life that she's used to record different times in that particular point in time. My other one is to do with the time in my second project is to do with numbers and objects. I wanted to start of all focus on how we use a lot of numbers in objects, everything, diaries, calendars, keyboards, everything. I wanted to record that. Then I went on to start to think about how people use numbers as lucky numbers in their life. So I've started to ask people around what are their lucky numbers and why do they use that, and is that something to do with a particular point in time that has happened to them. And that's my context. How would you like your work to be engaged within the context you have identified for it, and what kind of response do you hope your work will create or encourage? I hope when people come to look at my work that it makes them respond in a way that they realise how much we use numbers and time to record so many things in our life. We're always trying to remember things and organise things, and it might give them a lot of time to appreciate the things that they have done and maybe not necessarily be so concerned about keeping up with time and, you know, being scared that we've got to take pictures of everything. Obviously it's good to record things, but it might make them more aware of how much we want to record every single moment in our lives. But then that's also a good thing that people want to record things. So it just generally will make them respond in a way that they look at how they use time and different objects in their lives, and maybe if it's too much or it's too little. What contribution do you want this piece of work to make to the context you have identified? The contribution that people will make to the context of my work will be that they will feed information to me, giving me facts and backbone to my work that I'm going to produce. It's not just coming out of mid-air. The main context that I will be getting from other people is to do with people's lucky numbers. I've been asking around already, you know, why do we have a certain number that is important to us? Is it because we choose this number in our life and that's because of something that's happened, or it's just because of the significant person, or is it a birthday, or is it a house number? That's quite an interest to me. Another thing is, you know, that people that are willing to contribute in terms of give me ideas and give me things like times and dates that I think it's just generally talking to people, which is how it will contribute to my context in my work. Where would you want your installational project to be made in, and why? I would want my installational project to hopefully be in a place where there isn't any record of time. So maybe in a kind of open spaced area, in a park or maybe in a field somewhere. So I feel like it would have more meaning and it would be more contradicting to the work in itself. Because if I had an idea of placing these objects or times, records of times, dates, or someone's life in a space where there's like no time and nothingness. Or another option was to place it in a big white space, like in a big white room in a gallery, and then just have these pictures hanging up to represent just the pictures and nothing else. But I feel like if it was more in one place, it might have more impact to the work. In my objects and numbers project, I would rather this project maybe be placed in a book, I think, because it might have more impact, because it's more of a record of data and pictures and stuff that I've collected, more of something that is to do that it would need to have more conceptual meaning behind it. So yeah, a book and an installation. Why is it important within your work when you actually show the installation? Is it something to do with the piece of work that you're doing? It is important that the time in which I show my piece of work has a meaning towards what I want the people to think, or my audience to think. Obviously it's to do with memory and time. I felt that maybe a time when the sun's gone down or the sun's just beginning to come up, that the work maybe changes at the point at different times in the day. I mean, this is quite far in advance, or maybe if it was an installation, maybe a recording of this installation being shown somewhere and it changing throughout the day. I record it and we could see the different times changing. It could be like memory and time changing throughout a day in a space of nothingness. Within the book, I feel that this will be more of like another aspect of the first project, and this so much doesn't matter what time you look at it, but it's just more of a record of, it's kind of just showing people in life, you know, all the things we use. It's a record. It's like just a collectible thing.